Hello and welcome back to Scamps Recipes. In this weekly series, we're bringing our favorite recipes right to your home. Everything from entrees to appetizers and some sweet treats. This week, we're paying homage to one of our favorite barks, the Arizona bark. What this is, if you're unfamiliar, is peaks of peanut butter, valleys of milk chocolate, all wrapped up into a very thin layer in Scamps orange and put out for you to enjoy. Now this week we're making what we call an Arizona banana bread. And I don't know about you, but here at Scamps Toffee, there are very few combinations that we like more than peanut butter, chocolate, banana, all wrapped up into a sweet treat. So let's begin. Now this is a very, very easy recipe. It's pretty much 2 steps. Mix and put into the oven. We have our oven here set at 350 degrees. Now, you're gonna wanna preset it and you're gonna wanna pre-grease a baking dish just like this, right? Just like a classic banana bread. You're gonna wanna start by taking 4 eggs and place them in a mixing bowl just like this. Now, I like to pre-crack my eggs because when I'm getting going and I'm starting to bake my dish, I don't wanna have to stop to get things out of the refrigerator and crack eggs, but that's just me. Now this is 1 cup of very, very room temperature butter. Now it's not quite melted, but it is soft enough so that it can be mixed. The recipe calls for margarine. I prefer to use full fat Irish butter. I just think it tastes better in the mix. The next thing we're gonna add is our sugar. Now we have 2 cups of granulated white sugar here. You can use brown sugar. I've seen people do that. We like to use the white because then the brown sugar with the molasses, it will sometimes overpower the flavors that we have going. And typically we're big brown sugar people here at Scamps Toffee, but we're gonna do white today. So just pour that right in there. Like I said, guys, this recipe is ridiculously easy. With a lot of recipes, there are multiple stages. You have to slowly add the flour, things like that. With this recipe, it's just as simple as mixing and getting your ingredients ready beforehand. So what I'm doing here, like always, is instead of using a hand mixer, I'm physically going to hand mix the ingredients with this wooden spoon, just until everything is combined appropriately. And it is until then that we can add the flour, our baking powder, our mashed ripe bananas, our sour cream, our cocoa powder, and then yes, finally, our gorgeous Arizona bark. All right, so once that's combined, your next ingredient that you want to add is your sour cream. This is 1 cup of sour cream. We use just our local, we have a Giant Eagle here in town. We use a Giant Eagle sour cream, but any sour cream from any local grocery store will do. Mix that right in there. Okay, once that's combined, guys, you're gonna want to take your flour, your cocoa powder, and your mashed bananas. Here we have 6 mashed ripe bananas. Now, all we did is we took a fork, we mashed these bananas until they were this consistency. That's exactly what you want to do. You don't need to blend them. You don't need to put them into a mixer. You just need to take a fork, just like this, and mash them. Now, I'm gonna combine these bananas into the mix with a fork since they are a little bit thicker. I just want them to be combined appropriately. And I feel that a fork does that for us a little bit better than a spoon does. Okay. So those are looking fairly combined. Now it's time for baking soda, essential, vanilla extract, 1 teaspoon, another essential ingredient, and cocoa powder. We use 84% bittersweet cocoa powder, just like we do in our Belgian dark chocolate here at Scamps Toffee, but you are more than welcome to use any variation of unsweetened baking powder, cocoa powder that you would like. Okay, get that blended in just like that. Now, the difference between this banana bread and a lot of others that you're gonna find is 2 elements. First of all, it's a chocolate banana bread. So unlike a lot of banana breads that are just plain banana flavor, you might have some chocolate chips in there. We are not using chocolate chips. Instead, we're using this cocoa powder. Another difference that you're gonna find with this banana bread is that, of course, we're adding the touch of the peanut butter and chocolate Arizona bark. And that changes the game up quite a bit. All right, guys, for your final ingredient, I wait until the last minute to add the flour because, of course, it's very dry and it takes a long time to mix in to this mix. You want to have a nice wet base before you add the dry. So I'm going to add it a little bit at a time. This makes it easier to do it that way. Take our spoon out of here. Again, that's just preference. And we're just going to blend it in. So I don't know if y'all are familiar with our line of barks, but we have a line of barks that honor many different states. Everything from a Colorado bark with a variation of nuts, Brazil nuts, cashews, etc., all the way to our Arizona bark to honor Arizona. We have a New England bark. We have Florida bark with coconut and a white chocolate. We have a brand new bark to honor our brand new location here in Ligonier. And so what we like to do is just kind of give a nod to some of our favorite places around the US by honoring them with some flavors that we believe represent the state. Now, if anybody's watching this who's from Arizona and you might say, hey, Kara, why peanut butter and milk chocolate? Arizona kind of has that dry, flat landscape that I feel is really well represented by our Arizona bark here. All right, guys, we're gonna get the rest of the flour added in here. So, like I mentioned earlier, the oven is preset to 350 degrees. And what you wanna do is you want to pour all of this banana bread batter into your baking dish that you have pre-greased. I use the wrapper that comes off of the butter that I have just put into the mixture, but I know a lot of people will use like a spray oil. I just find that why throw away a perfectly good butter wrapper when you could use the outside of it rather the inside to grease your pan. Just kind of a trick that I learned from a family friend a few years ago. All right, guys, once you're nice and combined there, I like my banana bread a bit chunkier. That's why I don't use the hand mixer. Now, I'm starting to realize that this pan is a little bit too small, so bear with me. I'm gonna step back, get a bigger pan. We're gonna do 2 of these so that when you're making this at home, keep in mind 2 different baking dishes just like this. All right, guys, I'm back. I have my second dish. These 2 are the same size, though they might not look it. You're gonna wanna put that to the side. Okay, we have our 2 greased baking dishes right here. What you're gonna wanna do, get my recipe out of the way here, is you're gonna wanna just pour the batter until it is about halfway up. I like to trade between the 2 because I'm always cautious that, you know, I don't have a perfect eye for measurement. Sometimes when I over pour, I don't have enough for the second, so I'm just gonna eyeball it here and just kind of toggle between the 2 dishes. That's about right. Okay, now I don't want to waste any batter, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to scrape all of this phenomenal goodness right out of the bowl. I'm gonna put it in here just like that. Stuff is too good to waste. All right. Okay, guys, so now comes our favorite part. Right over here, we have a bowl of our Arizona bark. What you're gonna wanna do is break this off into pieces that, you know, we want it to look authentic. You don't have to cut these into perfectly square pieces, but make sure they're not too big so that they can't fit in the pan. Now, make sure you just evenly cover the top of this gorgeous banana bread with these pieces of Arizona bark, right? So we've got, you guys remember a few weeks ago when we did that bundt cake with our Seattle bark? This is a lot like that, except for when this is done cooking, instead of tipping it over and having the bark be the crust, we are gonna have the bark be the, as like an icing on a loaf cake, a lot like that. Now, I'm gonna cover this whole thing pretty adequately in bark, but you don't have to do that. You can put on just as much as you want. If peanut butter isn't your thing, we love peanut butter and banana, but you could do this with our New England bark with the cranberries and the blueberries. You could do this with Colorado bark with the nuts. You could even do this with Florida bark. White chocolate and banana sounds like a great way to start your day to me. So we have our 2 baking dishes here. We have a recipe, says to cut it to 350. We've done that. Now I'm gonna put these in the oven, and then we are gonna wait for about, let me check my recipe here, guys. We're gonna be cooking this thing for 60 minutes. Now, I write down all of our recipes here at Scamps Toffee because leave it to me to forget how long the loaf is gonna take in the middle of a video. And I just want you guys to be aware that if you need to write down this recipe as I'm telling it to you, please go ahead. Or you can go print it right off from our website. We make sure to post them every single session right there on our blog. So don't be shy, go over and print it off. All right, guys, I'm putting these in the oven. I'm gonna set the oven to 60 minutes. All right, guys, hang tight. We'll be right back when these gorgeous loaves come out of the oven. We're gonna slice it, we're gonna serve it. We're gonna give you some incredible pairing tips. Hang tight. Welcome back. We've just taken our gorgeous Arizona banana bread out of the oven. It is sitting right here before me. If you could be in this kitchen and you could smell what I am smelling, we have peanut butter in the air, we have banana wafting through the space, we have that gorgeous chocolate, and it is all steaming right here in front of me. Now, I recommend serving this warm. Take it out of the oven after your hour is up. Let it sit for 10 minutes before you serve it. So these guys have been sitting here for a while. They should be touchable. They should be just warm to the touch, not too hot. You're gonna wanna take a bread knife, just like this, serrated edge, and you're gonna wanna just cut nice, very thick slices of this stuff. Nobody wants a thin piece of Arizona bark banana bread, trust me. So, once you get this thing sliced up, you're gonna wanna take part of it, put it right here on this serving tray. Now, the reason why I'm not sure how much my guests are going to want, so I'm gonna leave part of this uncut, and I'm gonna just cut a few pieces for them to take. If they want more, I will of course leave that knife right there for them. But no need to cut all the bread right away, because what can happen is it'll dry out and you don't want that. So just give your guests enough to enjoy, just like this. And serve it. We have some nice little Scamps Toffee pieces right over here. This is the milk chocolate, just to garnish the plate. And voila, let me get this in front of the camera for you guys so you can really see it. Voila, Arizona bark banana bread. One taste, you're taken. Until next time, guys.